I wanted to get on and just talk a bit about an emotion that has been coming up for my clients as well as for myself. The emotion is the feeling of being alone. Aloneness. It can be pretty strong and overwhelming at times. And you know, when I envision a visual that goes with aloneness, it's almost like sitting at the bottom of this a well, you know, the old type well that was really, really deep. And even if it doesn't have any water, if you can imagine no water at the bottom of the well, sitting down there and feeling like there's no way to reach anyone, like there's no one around you and you can't reach out. It's too far up to go up. There's no way out. That aloneness feeling can be very overwhelming. And the genesis of today's topic, aloneness, came from a session I had with a client yesterday. Before my day starts, I try to meditate. I don't always manage to do it. I'm not perfect in that manner whatsoever. But I really was feeling the call to meditate yesterday morning before I started my sessions. And when I went into my meditation, this overwhelming feeling of aloneness came up. Feeling alone and very unloved, like it was a dual aspect. Because I guess if you're feeling loved, if you feel that connection to someone, you don't feel alone, right? But there's no doubt that aloneness and feeling of alone was welling up within me. And I wanted to do my own discovery process about that. Like, where is that coming from? And how can I let it go? Because I truly am on that process of trying to integrate all these different aspects that have revealed themselves to me. They're usually patterns. And a lot of times I'm not even aware of where the feeling comes from, but I do try to tune into it, witness it, and let it go, which is a lot of what I do with my clients, right? So now it's the therapist working on themselves. And when I went into this aloneness, what I found was an inner child aspect who was very judged for her freedom, her sense of freedom. Like, I remember as a child, I would just want to go and be outdoors. I mean, I was very blessed that we lived on several acres and we could roam free, right? This was definitely a different day and time. And I could go out and just play outside without any supervision. I could play in the trees. I could play with the fairies. I could play with, you know, whatever crossed my path, whether it was nature or an animal or a bug. They were all just part of this joyous experience of my very young self. And when I did that, I just completely forgot about things that I may have been responsible for from an adult point of view. And as an example, I remember like having a purse or a coat and just, you know, dropping them and going and exploring. And I was so caught up in that abandonment of my experiences, the abandonment of going and exploring in the forest or in the, you know, it could be something as just going and looking at the ocean. You know, I lived at the coast and, you know, we would often go to a park and, you know, we would park and we'd go out, and I can just imagine, you know, remembering kind of leaving the car and then going towards the ocean, right? And along the way, you know, you discover things. You see a flower, you see a bug, or, you know, you're exploring. And as soon as I would stop, like, things would just drop, right? I would drop my purse, or I'd get warm, I'd take off my jacket. I'd chase a butterfly, right? Who knows what I was doing? But it was in a very free-hearted, joyous manner that I was doing it in. There was such a lightheartedness about that. And I had no concerns or worries about the physical things that others may find important for me to be responsible for, to maintain control of, right? I just let my heart carry me to to expressing itself with these things that I was discovering. And I felt like it was all this big adventure, and I was having such a great time. And then, you return back to the car after exploring and having fun, or maybe I returned home and I didn't have my coat, or I didn't have my purse, or, whatever it was that I may have had with me. And there was always a real reprimand about my lack of ability to maintain knowledge of where my stuff was. And, that came from both parents. Didn't necessarily mock me, but I definitely remember a sibling mocking me, and to the degree where I became really conscious of it, self-conscious of it, and feeling this sense of responsibility that increased more and more, because I knew that if I didn't keep track of everything, if I didn't know where it was at all times, I was going to be subjected to the censorship, the judgment, the mocking. And that mantle that I was putting on myself of that responsibility became heavier and heavier and heavier. And, that was just the genesis of it, and increased with other experiences. It also magnified, I believe, just by some other past life things, ancestral stuff also. And it got to the point where now I'm just so utterly consumed with this idea of responsibility. And it's been something that has been in the back of my mind. So it's amazing to me how it all has come full circle in me discovering this aspect of my inner child who felt so curtailed by those around her. And she lost her sense of freedom, and she lost the ability to go chase butterflies without, in the back of her mind, worrying about these other things. And you look at your inner child and she's just heartbroken, right? She certainly in no way on purpose forgot about those things. She's just a small child who was following her heart, who was feeling the inspiration and the lightheartedness of following a butterfly. And when I meet that inner child and see how defeated she looks, it's heartbreaking. And so I did a lot of inner work about helping me heal, right? The objective here is to get that inner child to intermingle now, to integrate back into myself, because it's almost like she's a little soul shard that broke off with those experiences that she had. And so now we have to bring her back into the fold, allowing me to become more whole. And as she heals, that loosens this mantle of suppression almost that I have on myself about responsibility. Because, as an example, I have such a hard time walking away from my laptop or leaving the office when I have something that I know that I'm responsible for, that I have to accomplish. And it's never, I shouldn't say that, that's interesting. So, if it's stuff for me, it's okay. I can leave it because I'm good. I'm fine. I want to go chase the butterflies. But if I know that I have something that is for someone else, I have that sense of responsibility. It's very much triggered by things for other people. And on one hand, that's good. I mean, I really don't mind it on the majority of the time. It's when it becomes oppressive, when I lose my balance, when I am not allowing my inner child to go play and chase butterflies and play with the fairies, and I'm doing too much of the responsibility. Ideally, we want to balance those things, and we have to be cognizant of it. We have to be aware of it. We have to be watching ourselves about what is taking us out of balance. And so for me, this is what's been going on for the last few weeks, because I have been very determined to do some really out of my normal realm, right? I do a lot of session work, but I also want to start doing way more group stuff. And when I say I want to do it, I also know that, and this is, I think, where the sense of responsibility comes from. It's, this sense of it's my purpose. It's my calling to do that. And I know there's going to be great joy in there, but I, again, put way too much responsibility on myself. Instead of being in the flow and allowing it in its natural course to occur, I create this heavy weight on myself. And a lot of healers and practitioners might call that a pattern. It's a pattern I've created for myself. And so I am really determined to break free of that pattern. And to be able to break free means that I have to witness it, means I have to acknowledge it. I have to see what that pattern looks like. And it can be helpful to see the source, that genesis of that pattern, which is my inner child. It, like I said, it's also has some correlations to past life and ancestral. But I can release them all. Like we're not stuck in those patterns. Once we witness them and recognize them, we can let them go. So that's what I'm doing. I'm letting them go. And I'm sharing this all with you because yesterday, after I had all these epiphanies about my own aloneness and those feelings of being unloved, my first session of the day was a client. She was not a new client, so I know her. I know her history. And she came to me with this really just wanting to talk about how alone she was feeling. And, I'm still kind of surprised sometimes by synchronicities and how they come about. And I was like, wow, I really was picking up that. But as an empath, you can pick up, did I pick up that feeling of aloneness right before her session because she was coming in? It could be, but it was like echoing also within me. As an empath, when you're picking up someone's emotion, it looks for that corresponding match within you, vibration, right? So like is attracted to like, and it's found that resonating match within me. And so I could really, really relate to her because I had been feeling the exact same thing. And for her, I want to go into her aloneness because I think it's something that so many of us are really feeling right now, which is this polarity that we live within. When you start engaging in these letting go of your past history and really sitting in this energy of cohesion, of understanding, of compassion. When we are in the real world, it can be really tough because that polarity, that duality is very much real right now. And it's like they want you to pick. If you're on this side, they want you to be on the other side. Or, if they're on one side, then if you're not in agreement with them, you are definitely on the other side. It's like there's no middle ground. It's either you're with us or you're against us. And she was very much in that realm where she was working. And, she's young. She is wanting to go into a certain field. And where she's working is, the entry level to that field. And she's looking around and she's like, wow, this is intriguing about the duality here, right? Because she wants to hold her light within that realm, and she can see the challenges, the people who have the opposing views as she does. And she's like, how am I going to hold my light within this realm? Because it's so indoctrinated in old ways. And, I'm going to share that this is the medical realm. And I was like, if you could really go into that realm though, continue your process of becoming that doctor that you want to become and to be the light in that realm, what a shift you might really crack, right? And the analogy I had was came to me was being that seed that cracks the cement, the pavement. And there's just the seed that grows up, and it can literally grow through the concrete or the pavement and come up and bloom. And it's just a single little bloom through immense odds, but it changes the landscape. And she is, you know, she's feeling challenged. She feels very alone in that realm. She has very old-fashioned parents who are very indoctrinated in their culture. And again, it's a culture full of patterns of old ways of doing things. And here she is, she's just a streaming bright light. And she's like, I'm in work, I feel challenged. At home, I feel challenged. And she feels like there's no one that really understands her. And I think this is the feeling that so many of us have right now. I mean, like I said, I feel alone occasionally too. And I feel like no one understands me. And I meet with people all the time who I know we can match and meet and talk and connect. So I know I'm having these powerful connections with people, but that feeling is still there. It's still resonating throughout the group of people who are trying to hold the light. And this applies to the people who don't even realize they're holding the light. It's just the people that are really confused and overwhelmed right now. That feeling of overwhelmness is because there's so many emotions going on. It's just churning up that it's almost impossible to identify what emotion is most rampant at the moment. So I wanted to just reach out and say, you know, let's not be alone. Let's communicate. Let's find ways to support one another. And I know that part of my calling is, you know, building the community in some small way. I'm not the end all, but I'm hoping that in some small way, in whether it's Facebook or other ideas that I have, we can come together and support one another and do it in a respectful way that doesn't feel like we have to play the duality game, that we could be completely ourselves and still hold ourselves and others in esteem, to show respect for others and their viewpoints. You know, we're all on this journey, and it's not an easy journey. But it's such a powerful journey, and it's so freaking amazing. And the more we empower one another, the brighter our light shines. And that is truly the power that we hold, is allowing ourselves to find emotional relief and release, and allowing our light to grow brighter and brighter, you know. Over and over, this is the one thing I hear from higher selves in the work that I do, is they just want us to be happy. Find ways to be happy. Find ways to relieve the pressure. And there's just nothing more important than that. Nothing more important than you taking care of you. And as you feel your light, as you take care of yourself, then everything else falls into place. So that's my message for everyone today. I just want you to take care of you. I want you to fill up your light. I want you to find ways to bring joy into your life so that you can feel a little bit more carefree, a little bit less alone. And if you would like to join the Facebook group, I'll put a link on here for you. So that is the public Facebook page, and we're going to be discussing a lot on that page about creating abundance and manifesting our heart's desires and walking in our purpose, and you know, just discovering ourselves while healing ourselves. And that's the dragons part, really, is about the healing part. They are such amazing, powerful, angelical type energy for healing, and they can come in, and when you give your intention to really let go of something, to resolve something, they are there in full assistance and support for that. And I love working with their energy. They're so powerful. If you guys have any questions, email me, put the comments down below. I love hearing from you, and I will answer them personally myself. But we are in exciting times, and I am just so thrilled to be on this crazy wild dragon ride with you. Namaste.